On a March afternoon in California, as spring rain tapped against the window, the phone rang. Catherine Murphy stopped her knitting and pushed her glasses up her nose. At 67, the retired nurse had worked for 40 years at UCLA Medical Center and had seen countless emergencies. But the voice on the other end of the line felt colder than any emergency room. "Is this Mrs. Murphy? My name is Maria Sanchez from the La County Department of Social Services. I'm calling about your son, Liam Murphy." Catherine's heart began to race. The social worker's voice was devoid of emotion, relaying only facts. That Liam had been found at a homeless shelter on Skid Row. That he was in a state of severe depression. And the most shocking fact of all, that his house was no longer his. "That can't be right." Catherine's voice trembled. "Liam is an electrician. He worked diligently for 15 years to buy a house in Pasadena. He was so proud of it." In her mind, the memory of Thanksgiving 6 months ago was vivid. Liam beaming in front of his 1920s Craftsman-style home at 1247 Maple Street. He had stroked the wooden pillars of the porch he'd restored himself and said, "Mom, this is my American dream. This is the house where Noah will grow up." At the time, 35-year-old Liam had seemed happy with his wife, Chloe, and their 5-year-old son, Noah. Chloe was a beautiful 28-year-old woman who ran an online boutique and was an influencer on social media. Her Instagram was always filled with images of a perfect family, photos in front of the Maple Street house, moments in the park with Noah, and sweet date pictures with Liam. "Ma'am, I suggest you check the property deed records. The current owner is listed as Barbara Hendricks." Barbara Hendricks, Chloe's mother. In her late 50s, she claimed to work in real estate, but Catherine had always felt something unsettling about her. Her overly flashy attire, her constant talk of new investments, and the calculating smile she wore whenever she looked at Liam. After hanging up, Catherine called Liam's cell phone with trembling hands. After a long ring, a familiar yet strange voice answered. "Mom." Liam's voice sounded as if he had aged 10 years. "Liam, what on earth happened? Where are you?" "I'm sorry, Mom. I was a fool." That evening, Catherine drove to the shelter downtown. During the 40-minute drive, hundreds of questions swirled in her mind. Seeing her son under the shelter's fluorescent lights was a shock. His once sturdy frame was gaunt, and his hollowed eyes were filled only with despair. "It's all my fault," Liam mumbled, clutching a plastic cup of cold coffee. Chloe said we needed to create a family trust to reduce inheritance taxes. She said since Barbara was a real estate expert, we should make her a temporary trustee. Catherine took her son's trembling hand. And so? It was a pile of documents. So many papers. Barbara kept saying it was just a formality. We even had it notarized at a lawyer's office. Liam's voice trailed off. There was a quitclaim deed inside. A document that signed away all rights to the house. And what did Chloe say? Tears streamed down Liam's face. As soon as it was signed, she asked for a divorce. She said she was taking custody of Noah. She told me to get out of the house. "My own house, Mom." Catherine hugged her son tightly. Having worked as a caregiver for 40 years, she had witnessed immense suffering. But the depth of the betrayal her own son had endured was beyond imagination. This wasn't just a divorce. It was a crime, planned from start to finish to destroy a man's life. "Let's go home, Liam." We'll figure this out together. The next morning, Catherine's first stop was the bank. Her $150,000 in retirement savings. It was everything she had saved for the rest of her life, but there was no hesitation. When the teller asked about the large withdrawal, Catherine answered calmly, "It's money to save my son." Catherine was meticulous in choosing a lawyer. She sought not a cheap one, but an expert in real estate fraud and family law. David Chen, a 45-year-old Korean-American attorney, was a UCLA law school graduate and a 20-year veteran of complex property disputes. His office was in Beverly Hills, its walls adorned with newspaper clippings of his victories. Mrs. Murphy, to be frank, cases like these are not easy. Mr. Chen said, carefully reviewing the documents Liam had signed. The quitclaim deed was legally notarized, and the divorce papers followed proper procedure. Catherine remained resolute in her chair. But it was fraud. He was tricked into signing. We need proof. Proof of intentional deceit, undue influence, and, if possible, evidence of financial fraud. From that day, Catherine and Liam's investigation began. Liam, sleeping on a makeshift bed in his mother's small living room, spent his days piecing together memories to gather evidence. He compiled a record of every financial transaction during his marriage to Chloe. Astonishing facts came to light. Chloe's online boutique, Elegant Life, was funded by automatic monthly transfers from Liam's salary account. For 18 months, $3,000 a month, totaling $54,000, had been funneled under the guise of business investment. With that money, Chloe bought designer bags and jewelry, which she proudly flaunted on social media. "This is strange, Mom," Liam said, pointing at his laptop screen. "Look at the business registration address for Chloe's boutique. It's Barbara's house, but she's actually living somewhere else." Mr. Chen hired a professional investigator. James Rodriguez, a former FBI agent in his 50s with sharp eyes, returned in 2 weeks with startling information. "I found something interesting about Barbara Hendricks," Rodriguez said, placing a thick file on the table. In 2010, she was sued in Nevada for real estate fraud. She used a family trust scheme back then, too, and the victim was her own son-in-law. Catherine's eyes lit up. "So she has a record?" "It ended in a civil settlement, but the pattern is clear. And more importantly," Rodriguez pulled out another document. "The money that went into Chloe's business is being funneled into several shell companies managed by Barbara. This is clear-cut money laundering." Mr. Chen nodded with a grave expression. "This is no longer a state-level issue. This is a federal crime." That Friday, Catherine and Liam went to the FBI's white-collar crime division on the 26th floor of the L.A. Federal Building. Agent Sarah Kim, a Korean-American woman in her late 30s, had been a financial crimes specialist for 15 years. She meticulously examined the evidence Catherine had compiled. "This is a very systematic fraud," Agent Kim murmured, looking at the money flow chart. "Liam's salary went from here to here, and then here." The tip of her pen traced a complex web of arrows. "We usually see this pattern in organized crime. Will you investigate?" Catherine asked cautiously. Agent Kim smiled. "We've already started, Mrs. Murphy. We don't let cases like this go." That night, Catherine sat in the living room knitting, watching her son. Liam lay on the sofa, staring at the ceiling. A deep scar remained on his face, But for the first time, a glimmer of hope was seeping through. "Mom, will it really be okay? Will I get to see Noah again?" Catherine stopped her knitting needles and took her son's hand. "Of course, Liam. The truth always comes out. And we will not give up." Outside, the light from the Maple Street lamps was visible. Catherine held on to the belief that one day they would return to that house. 6 months later, the FBI's investigation had expanded to a much larger scale than anticipated. Barbara and Chloe hadn't just deceived Liam. Over the past 5 years, there had been at least a dozen victims, with total damages amounting to $2.8 million. Their method was always the same: exploit a relationship of trust to transfer property rights under the guise of a family trust, then quickly sell the property or take out loans against it. A federal grand jury indicted Barbara and Chloe on a total of 23 counts. The main charges were mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, and racketeering. Chloe's glamorous social media accounts were all seized by the FBI, and the designer bags, jewelry, and Hawaiian vacation photos she had proudly posted all became evidence of criminal proceeds. The trial began on September 15, 2024, at the U.S. District Court in Los Angeles. Every day, Catherine sat in the courtroom with her son, watching as their fate was decided. On the first day, Barbara appeared in a $2,000 Chanel suit. At 57, she still wore an arrogant expression, but the handcuffs on her wrists betrayed her situation. Chloe was different. The influencer who once had 150,000 followers on Instagram sat in the defendant's box in a simple black suit, her head bowed. Now 30, her face was not one of glamour, but etched with deep regret. Prosecutor Michael Thompson was a veteran who had specialized in white-collar crime for a decade. In his opening statement, he was clear. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about the most vicious form of betrayal. The defendants used the sacred bond of family to destroy the lives of good citizens." The witness testimony began. Liam took the stand and calmly testified about what had happened to him. His voice did not tremble. 6 months of therapy and his mother's love had made him strong. "Chloe told me, 'It's for our future, Liam. These papers are just a formality.'" Liam's testimony echoed through the courtroom. "I loved her, and I trusted her. I believed she was my partner for life." Barbara's lawyer argued for her innocence. "My client was only trying to help her daughter. There may have been mistakes in a complex real estate transaction, but there was no intentional fraud. But the evidence was overwhelming." FBI accountant Linda Park drew a complex money flow diagram on a whiteboard to explain. $54,000 off Liam Murphy's salary went into Elegant Life here. Within 24 hours, this money was dispersed into 3 different companies managed by Barbara Hendricks. This is a classic money laundering pattern. The most shocking moment came when Chloe's former business partner, Jennifer Wilson, took the stand. The 35-year-old testified that she had ended her partnership with Chloe after learning the truth. "Chloe told me, 'Liam is so naive. He'll do anything I ask.' And she laughed. She laughed while talking about her husband like that." A chill fell over the courtroom. Catherine, sitting in the gallery, clenched her fists. Liam lowered his head but did not break. On the final day, Judge Robert Chen, no relation to attorney David Chen, read the verdict. At 65, he had handled numerous serious crimes during his 30 years as a federal judge. but he expressed particular outrage in this case. The defendants, Barbara Hendricks and Chloe Hendricks, exploited the sacred trust of family to destroy the lives of innocent citizens. This act goes beyond material damage. It tramples on human dignity itself. Barbara was sentenced to 10 years in prison and a $500,000 fine. Chloe received 7 years and a $300,000 fine. The court also ordered the restitution of all criminal proceeds and that the house on Maple Street be immediately returned to Liam. Most importantly was the matter of Noah's custody. The family court, citing Chloe's criminal actions and incarceration, granted primary custody to Liam. 8-year-old Noah would now live with his father and grandmother. After the verdict, as they left the courthouse, Liam held his mother's hand and wept silently for the first time. They were not tears of anger or sadness, but of relief, like seeing a sliver of light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. "Let's go home now, Mom." "To our home." In the spring of 2025, Liam and Noah's first day back at 1247 Maple Street was quiet. The house, empty for 18 months, was covered in dust, with only the furniture Chloe hadn't taken left behind. But with the cleaning supplies Catherine brought, Noah's small suitcase, and a will to start anew, it was enough. "Dad, is this really our house?" 8-year-old Noah asked cautiously, standing at the entrance. For the past 2 years, he had lived with his mother and maternal grandmother, but he had always felt anxious there. The adults' loud voices, the sudden moves, and being told he couldn't see his dad had left him confused. Liam knelt to meet his son's eyes. "Yes, Noah. This is our home now. A home for you, me, and Grandma to live in together." Noah's first room was a small bedroom on the second floor. The window looked out onto a large oak tree in the backyard. Catherine ordered a new bed and desk for her grandson, and Liam put up posters of Noah's favorite dinosaurs on the wall. They were small things, but to Noah they all signified a new beginning. Liam's recovery was slow. Every Tuesday and Thursday, he met with Dr. Maria Rodriguez, a trauma specialist in Pasadena. An experienced psychologist in her 50s, she helped Liam heal from the deep wounds of betrayal. "Liam, what happened to you was not your fault," Dr. Rodriguez repeated in every session. "It's not wrong to trust. The people who abused that trust are the ones who are wrong." Therapy was not easy. Some days, Liam would be overcome with anxiety and find it hard to breathe. The faces of Chloe and Barbara would flash in his mind, filling him with rage, and the guilt of being so naive kept him up at night. Noah also saw a child psychologist, Dr. Kevin Park, a young Korean-American psychologist in his 30s, specialized in counseling children from divorced families. At first, Noah didn't speak much. It was hard for him to understand that his mother was in prison, and he was confused about why he had to live apart from his dad. "Noah, whatever you're feeling is okay," Dr. Park said, using play therapy to help Noah open up. "It's okay to be angry, sad, or confused. You can express those feelings." Slowly, Noah began to put his feelings into words. He said he missed his mom, but he also knew that she had made his dad sad. It was a process of sorting through complex emotions in the language of an 8-year-old. Catherine silently watched over their recovery, offering support. Every evening at 7 p.m., a warm dinner she had prepared was on the table. Meatloaf on Mondays, chicken teriyaki on Tuesdays, spaghetti on Wednesdays. The routine of family meals brought a sense of stability to the broken family. "Grandma, I gave a presentation at school today, Noah said excitedly one evening. It was about our family, and I talked about you and Dad. Catherine smiled, stroking her grandson's hair. What did you say? I said, my grandma is the bravest person in the world.